Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the More Survivalist, and in this case talking about the war in Ukraine and how Vladimir Putin, the Russian dictator, is looking to yet again starve Ukraine into submission. Guys, remember that you have my books available in Amazon following the links below. If you're interested in being prepared for what's coming, you really want to get these: Surviving the Economic Collapse, Bugging Out and Relocating, and Street Survival Skills. In my opinion, a good amount of information that will help you prepare. Also, regarding this topic, I got just this book recently, Mao's Great Famine. It's fantastic. There's also Red Famine. I'll leave links for those two below as well if you want to get more information regarding how dictators, communist dictators, use famine and hunger to commit genocide in different parts of the world in different times of history. But this is very interesting. The starvation of a nation. Putin uses hunger as a weapon in Ukraine. So what they're basically doing, it says here, Russian troops have laid waste to farmland, destroying agricultural equipment and planting landmines in the rich soil where crops should grow. Ukraine's traditional supply routes have been wrecked. Its ports now under Russian control. They are specifically trying to starve them to death. It's besieged cities of Mariupol, where 170,000 people are still struggling to survive. Food has virtually run out. And when you look this up in some of the other, if you Google this, it is very interesting to notice. And most of the Western media from the United States is mostly read by U.S. readers. They don't even mention this at all. Look it up yourselves. I used Google, and this is what I got. Politico.eu's The Starvation of a Nation. Russia could be guilty of starvation crimes in Ukraine. UN blocked from delivering aid to starving Ukrainians. Forbes, Russian strategy to starve Ukraine creates misery. Forbes is just a little bit of mentioning there. I use also Thor so as to be filtering any regional bias that I may have here in my search engines. Same thing. You don't see CNN, you don't see Fox News, you don't see any of the main American media outlets mention any of this. This idea that the U.S. government or the U.S. elites want war with Ukraine, that is simply not true. They're barely mentioning it all. Now it's all Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. That's all that matters, right? None of this is being mentioned. These are all outlets that are just not. A little bit of... all outlets that are really not read by most Americans, or even most of the, there's a little bit of British media. They're mentioning, Putin confiscates grain in mass from farms as Russian attempts to starve enemies. But usually you don't see much of, especially in the United States, this is basically, ignored. It's shadow banned. It is not that surprising because, as I've been saying before, it's both the left and the right, especially in the United States, that wants this to go away and just pretend it's not happening. Very depressing. I also saw this headline here. Pope says NATO may have caused Russian invasion of Ukraine. Commie Pope doing what Commie Pope does best, being a damn commie. Embarrassment to Argentina and the rest of us. What an embarrassment this man is. Commie Pope at it again, justifying genocide in a peaceful nation. It is insane, man. The times we're living in and the amount of people that fall for the propaganda is just depressing. Look, we're going to be seeing times in which food is going to be lacking overall. Most of all, it's going to be used as a mechanism so as to, through inflation, send money from the pockets of the middle class and poor all over the world, and in developing nations and developed nations as well, to the pockets of the elite, using this as well because of war. At the same time, you must not forget that there's actually going to be people starving to death in this country that no one cares about. That's simply the way it is. The elite does not care about Ukraine. That's why this war started in the first place. Because if not, it wouldn't have started to begin with. It would have been something that was agreed behind curtains of No. If you do this, we'll destroy you, so don't even dare. That conversation never took place. It was, oh, well, yeah, don't worry. Yeah, we're not going to be allowing them into NATO. Now, Sweden? Yeah, sure. You're in NATO already, pal. Don't worry. That's good. In a matter of days, it was dealt with. Now, these poor guys, the Ukrainians, were begging because they wanted to avoid this again. Less than 100 years ago, damn commies from Russia starved them to death. 4 million dead. Go read. I just bought it myself. I'll get it tomorrow. Red Famine. How Holodomor was perpetrated on the Ukrainian people, starved to death by Russia. And now, and this part about how landmines are being used. This is something that I saw a while back. This is from April 1st. How Ukrainians kick away the lazy Russians. At times they just drop the mines and hope that someone just runs over them with a truck or tank, and the Ukrainians just kick them away. Soldiers simply removing mines with their feet. So yeah, you have this that's kind of like ironic. These are still explosives. Any of these guys could just blow up in seconds. So this is not a joke, right? At the same time, and how they drive over them, it's crazy. At the same time, you also have this happening. You have this poor Ukrainian nurse having her leg blown.
An unusual first dance. Newlyweds
the positive thing of the poor Ukrainian woman having her knees blown, her legs blown by a Russian mine. So this also happens. This is also true. That poor woman, why? Just because a damn dictator wants to recreate the Soviet Empire? And everyone looks the other way. We all pretend this is not happening.
In a few days, Victor will take Oksana to Germany to be fitted for prosthetics. Soon, she hopes.
Yeah, CNN always with it. Even within the horror of the brutal attack on Ukraine, CNN tries to put the positive spin to it. They're not mentioning starvation. They're mentioning the wedding dance of the nurse with no legs. Guys, be prepared for what's happening. Read through all of the agenda, both on the left and on the right, which they're basically colluding against always the same damn thing at the end of the day. You have China with a one communist party, which has no problem doing business with Apple and all of the giant tech companies that slave labor. Disney, same thing. We talk who owns Disney, and Disney in China is just like a fish in a pond, happy as they could be, no problem there. We, on the other hand, are being fed bullshit, lies, and propaganda left and right, and are being deceived through the media on what's really happening in the world right now. Guys, it's going to be all for now. Take care. See you on our next video.